The morning sun fell through the glass roof of the city mall as a young girl named Mira walked slowly along the polished floor. She was calm and gentle in nature and carried a small birthday card her father had given her. Inside the card he wrote that she could choose any gift she wanted. Mira had decided she wanted a dress for her school celebration. She was excited because she had never picked something from a boutique before. She saved her small allowance and held it tightly in her hand. Her heart filled with hope as she stepped toward a bright shop with tall windows and shining lights. Inside the boutique, everything looked elegant. Dresses hung like soft clouds from silver racks. Golden mirrors reflected soft light that made every color glow. Mira felt amazed as she looked around. She saw a beautiful dress with a soft blue shade. It reminded her of calm ocean waves she once saw with her father. She walked toward it with slow steps and touched the fabric gently. It felt smooth and comfortable. She smiled quietly. She hoped she had enough money for it. On the other side of the shop stood Clara, the boutique manager. She liked to keep things perfect and polished. She noticed Mira the moment the girl entered. Clara expected customers to match the fancy style of the shop. When she saw Mira in her simple clothes, she formed a wrong idea. Without knowing anything, she assumed Mira was only there to browse and not to buy. Clara let her judgment guide her instead of kindness. When Mira lifted the dress slightly to see its size, Clara walked quickly toward her. Her steps echoed across the boutique floor. She asked Mira with a firm voice what she wanted. Mira felt surprised by her sharp tone. She tried to answer politely and said she was looking for a dress for her birthday. Clara did not smile. Instead, she spoke in a cold manner and told Mira the dress was expensive. She said Mira should be careful, as if she did not trust her. Mira lowered her hand and stepped back a little. She did not understand why the manager spoke to her like that. Mira felt embarrassed but tried to stay calm. She said she had saved money for the dress and wanted to check the size. Clara still seemed annoyed. She kept watching every small move Mira made. Some customers nearby noticed the tension. A few looked away. Others whispered quietly. Mira wished she had walked into a different store. She wished the moment could turn peaceful again. Clara stepped closer and told Mira she should not touch the dresses unless she planned to buy them. Her tone became harsher. Mira felt a sting of sadness in her chest. She had done nothing wrong. She only wanted a birthday dress. She tried to explain one more time, but Clara interrupted her. The manager waved her hand as if she wanted Mira to leave. The pressure in the shop felt heavy. Mira felt her throat tighten. She slowly placed the dress back on the rack and whispered a soft apology, even though she had not caused any trouble. Clara crossed her arms. She said Mira should look at items in another shop that suited her better. Those words hit Mira deeply. She felt the weight of judgment in each word. She looked at the floor and held her small purse close to her chest. Customers watched quietly. No one stepped forward. Mira felt alone in that moment. She left the boutique with slow steps. When she reached the mall hallway, she sat on a bench and kept her hands on her lap. She felt tears forming, but she blinked them away. She did not want anyone to see her sadness. She looked at the birthday card her father gave her. She knew he wanted her to feel happy today. She knew he believed she deserved something nice. She wondered how she would explain what happened. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was her father calling to say he was on the way. Mira tried to steady her voice as she answered. She told him she was at the mall and ready to go home. But her quiet tone made him pause. He asked her if everything was fine. Mira hesitated. She did not want to worry him. She took a breath and said she would explain when he arrived. Her father, a tall and gentle man named Shaq, loved Mira more than anything. He always taught her to speak with kindness and confidence. When he arrived at the mall, he saw Mira sitting alone. He saw her eyes were slightly red. He sat beside her and asked what happened. Mira looked at him with calm honesty and explained the full moment. She told him how she was treated. She held the birthday card and said she only wanted a dress. Shaq listened without interrupting. His expression stayed calm but serious. He placed his large hand on Myra's shoulder and told her she did nothing wrong. He said no one had the right to speak to her in such a way. He stood up and asked her to walk with him. Mira hesitated for a moment but trusted him. She followed him back toward the boutique. Inside the shop, Clara was arranging a row of scarves. When she turned and saw Shaq enter, her eyes widened in shock. She recognized him immediately. The calm man with a gentle presence now stood in front of her counter. Mira stood quietly beside him. Clara felt her throat tighten. She realized at once how badly she had judged the situation. Shaq greeted her politely. His voice held strength but not anger. He asked her why she treated his daughter with disrespect. Clara tried to speak, but the words did not come out smoothly. She said she misunderstood. She said she thought Mira would not buy anything. She said she was trying to maintain order in the shop. Shaq listened with patience. Customers gathered quietly near the entrance, watching the moment with wide eyes. Shaq asked her if she ever asked Mira what she needed. Clara lowered her gaze. She had no answer. He spoke in a steady tone and said that respect should be offered to all customers. He said that Mira had saved money for the dress and deserved kindness. He reminded Clara that assumptions hurt people deeply. Mira stood still but felt a small warmth in her heart because her father spoke calmly and wisely. Shaq told Mira to choose the dress she liked. He wanted her to have the birthday she deserved. Mira walked once again to the blue dress. She touched it gently and lifted it with a soft smile. Shaq nodded and asked Clara to prepare it. Clara wrapped the dress with shaking hands. She felt ashamed of her earlier behavior. She handed it to Mira and whispered an apology. Mira accepted it politely. When they left the store, Shaq noticed a few people recording the moment on their phones. He did not mind. He only wanted his daughter to feel valued. Mira held the dress close to her chest. She felt grateful for her father's calm support. She felt hope returning. But unknown to them, a simple moment inside that boutique was about to spread far beyond the mall. A ripple had already formed. People who witnessed the situation were already sharing their experiences online. Some wrote about how bravely Mira stayed calm. Others wrote about how respectfully Shaq handled everything. The boutique's name appeared in conversations across different platforms. Comments began forming. Discussions grew. Support for Mira increased every hour. Inside the boutique, Clara stood alone after closing time. She looked at the empty shop and felt the weight of her actions. She realized how quickly judgment can hurt someone. She realized kindness is more powerful than assumptions. She wondered what would happen next to her job and to the store. She knew the moment could not be erased. The only thing she could do was face whatever came with honesty. Mira and Shaq headed home with the dress safely placed in a bag. Shaq told Mira he was proud of her for staying calm. He told her she deserved better treatment in every place she entered. Mira felt stronger after hearing those words. She looked out the car window and watched the city lights pass by. She felt the birthday warmth returning to her heart. But the story was far from over. The online world was waking up. The boutique owner was about to discover something surprising. Clara would have to make a choice that could change everything. And Mira would soon learn that a simple act of disrespect could turn into a powerful lesson for an entire community. The next chapter of their story was already unfolding. The next morning brought a wave of noise across the city mall and even beyond it. People had already begun sharing their thoughts online about the boutique incident. Videos from customers who saw Shaq and Mira inside the store spread from one social page to another. Many wrote messages about how Mira was treated and how calmly her father handled the situation. They talked about respect and how important it was for every person regardless of age or appearance. The story began reaching more people every hour and the boutique name became linked to the moment. Mira sat at her kitchen table eating breakfast with quiet thoughts. The dress she chose yesterday hung on the back of a chair. She looked at it and felt mixed emotions. She felt joy that she had the dress but also felt memory of the moment in the store. Her father noticed her silence and asked how she felt. Mira looked at him and said she felt better today. She said his presence gave her strength. Shaq smiled and said he would always stand with her. He told her the world had many good people and sometimes moments like these helped others learn. Meanwhile, inside the boutique, the atmosphere had changed completely. Clara arrived early for work and found the boutique owner waiting for her near the counter. He held a tablet in his hand. His expression looked heavy. He asked Clara to sit. She felt nervous as she sat on a small chair facing him. He showed her the videos and comments online. She felt a sharp pain in her stomach as she watched the situation unfold from the perspective of others. It looked even worse than she remembered. The owner told her the store was receiving many messages. Some asked for better service. Others said they would not visit again until the issue was addressed. He said the story was spreading quickly. He asked Clara to explain everything from the beginning. She took a deep breath and spoke honestly. She said she misjudged Mira. She said she acted impatiently. She said she should have spoken with kindness. She did not hide her mistake. The owner listened carefully. After a long pause, he told Clara the store must protect its name. He said customers deserved respect. He said they needed to release a public message. Clara felt her throat tighten. She wondered if she would lose her position. The owner told her she would be suspended for a short time while they reviewed policies and improved staff training. Clara nodded slowly. She did not argue. She felt the decision was fair. As the hours passed, customers came and went from the boutique, but the usual warmth was missing. People whispered quietly when they walked past the racks. Some came only to ask questions about the incident. Others stayed at the doorway without entering. The employees looked uncomfortable. The entire shop felt different, as if it were under a cloud of concern. Mira and Shaq continued their day like normal. Mira tried on the dress again at home and twirled in front of the mirror. Her eyes shined with joy. She felt beautiful and confident. Shaq told her she looked perfect. He reminded her that her happiness mattered more than any difficult moment she faced. Mira hugged him and said she felt stronger after everything. Shaq smiled and told her kindness always wins in the end. Later that afternoon, a friend of Shaq called him. The friend said the online story was everywhere. He asked if Shaq planned to make a public comment. Shaq said he only wanted people to be kinder to each other. He did not want anger or blame. He wanted understanding. His friend agreed that his calm approach was admirable. The conversation reminded Shaq how powerful simple actions could be. Meanwhile, Clara walked home slowly after leaving the boutique. Her heart felt heavy. She thought about Mira. She thought about how quick judgment had caused so much harm. She wished she could go back in time and speak to Mira kindly. She wondered if Mira would ever forgive her. She realized she had not only hurt Mira but also herself. She had allowed her own assumptions to guide her decisions. She promised herself she would change. She promised she would learn from the moment. That evening, the boutique owner drafted a public apology. He wrote that the store was sorry for how Mira was treated. He wrote that they would improve their service. He wrote that respect was the foundation of every customer interaction. The message spread quickly. Some people appreciated the apology while others said it was overdue. But overall, the tension began to soften. At home, Mira saw the apology online. She showed it to her father. Shaq read it carefully. He told Mira the apology was a good step. He told her the world must move forward with understanding. Mira nodded. She felt a small warmth inside. She knew the store had learned something important. The next day, Shaq received an unexpected message from the mall administration. They asked if he would meet with them to discuss how the mall could create better experiences for young customers. Shaq agreed. He saw it as an opportunity to bring more awareness. He brought Mira with him to the meeting. When they arrived, the mall director greeted them warmly. He thanked Mira for her bravery. He thanked Shaq for his calm conduct. They discussed ideas such as customer kindness workshops and new staff training programs. Mira listened quietly but felt proud that her experience could help others. Across town, Clara sat in her apartment feeling restless. She opened her phone and re-watched the scene in her mind. She knew she needed to take responsibility. She knew apologizing through the store message was not enough. She wanted to speak to Mira directly. She knew it would not be easy, but she wanted to face the consequence of her actions. She spent the evening writing a letter. She wrote that she was truly sorry for hurting Mira. She wrote that she had learned an important lesson. She wrote that she hoped Mira would find happiness on her birthday. She placed the letter inside an envelope and held it close to her chest. She planned to deliver it soon. The weekend came and Myra's birthday celebration at school approached. She wore her new blue dress and felt confident as she walked into her classroom. Her classmates smiled when they saw her. They said she looked bright and joyful. Mira felt happy and free. For a moment she forgot the painful incident at the boutique. She focused on the kindness around her. Her teacher asked how her day had been and Mira said it was wonderful. Shaq watched her from the school entrance before leaving. He felt grateful to see her smiling. He hoped the world would continue to treat her with the respect she deserved. He trusted that the experience had made her stronger. While Mira celebrated at school, Clara stood outside Myra's home holding the envelope. She felt nervous. She almost turned back several times. But she remembered the moment she hurt Mira and felt she had to make peace. She knocked gently. No one answered because Mira was not home. Clara slipped the envelope under the door and walked away slowly. Shaq found the envelope when he returned home. He opened it and read the letter. He felt the sincerity in Clara's words. He placed the envelope on Myra's desk. He wanted Mira to read it when she returned. Later that day, Mira came home with a small bag of birthday cards from her classmates. She placed the bag on her table and noticed the envelope. She opened it and read the letter quietly. She felt surprised. She reread the lines where Clara admitted her mistake. She felt a wave of calm inside her chest. The apology touched her. She realized Clara had struggled too. She realized people could change when they reflected on their actions. Shaq entered her room and asked how she felt. Mira smiled softly. She said she forgave Clara. She said forgiveness made her heart feel lighter. Shaq nodded proudly. He told her forgiveness was a strong choice and only brave people could do it. The boutique owner learned that Clara had tried to apologize personally. He appreciated her effort. He invited her to a meeting where they discussed new training programs for the staff. Clara expressed her ideas for better customer care. She wanted to make sure no one would face judgment like Mira did. The owner listened and valued her sincerity. He told her she could return to work after the suspension, but with new responsibility. She would help lead the training sessions. Clara accepted the role with gratitude. The following week, Clara walked into the boutique again. She saw a few familiar customers. Some recognized her. She felt nervous but stood with a steady posture. She greeted them kindly. She made sure every person felt welcome. She remembered Myra's gentle face and let that memory guide her actions. The store atmosphere improved. Customers noticed the difference. Mira and Shaq visited the mall again a few days later. Not to return to the boutique, but to enjoy the food court. While walking past the boutique, Mira noticed Clara inside. Their eyes met through the glass. Clara gave a small, respectful nod. Mira nodded back. It was a simple moment, but meaningful. It showed that peace had been restored. As they continued walking, Shaq placed his hand gently on Myra's shoulder. He told her she had handled everything with grace. He told her that the world needed people like her who chose kindness even after facing wrong. Mira smiled and looked forward. She felt stronger than before. She felt wiser too. The story of the boutique slowly faded from the online world, but its lessons remained. People who saw the video remembered the calm strength of Shaq and the courage of Mira. They remembered that respect mattered. They remembered that assumptions caused harm. And they remembered that forgiveness brought healing. But one more moment was waiting. Something that would close the story in a meaningful way and remind everyone involved that kindness travels far. The final part of the story was about to unfold. The days passed calmly after the incident, and the world around Mira began to settle back into a normal rhythm. Her school days felt peaceful. Her home felt warm and safe. She spent her afternoons reading, practicing her hobbies, and enjoying simple moments with her father. But even as life quieted down, something important was still growing quietly in the background. The boutique incident had planted a seed of change that had not yet fully revealed itself. One bright morning, Mira sat at the kitchen table enjoying toast and fruit. The blue dress hung neatly in her closet, and she wore it on special days when she wanted to feel confident. Her father joined her with a cup of tea. He told her that the mall director had invited them again. This time not for a meeting, but for a small gathering where they planned to introduce new customer care guidelines inspired by Mira's story. Mira blinked with surprise. She did not think her experience would make such a difference. Shaq told her that sometimes even difficult moments lead to good results. He said that when people choose calm instead of anger, they open doors for positive change. Mira listened with thoughtful eyes. She felt nervous to attend another public event, but she also felt proud. She knew her voice had helped others understand a lesson about respect. Later that day they arrived at the mall. The gathering was small but well organized. A few mall staff members stood near a stage with chairs arranged in neat rows. The director greeted Mira warmly and introduced her to employees who would be trained in the new program. They thanked her for being brave. They said her experience reminded them how important kindness was. Mira smiled quietly. She felt shy but grateful. Shaq stood beside her with calm confidence. He spoke briefly to the group and said that every customer deserved to be treated with care. He said simple kindness built strong communities. His words carried weight and comfort. The staff listened carefully. They understood the importance of their role. Meanwhile, Clara walked through the mall toward the gathering. She had been invited by the boutique owner to attend the program launch. She felt nervous but determined. She knew this moment mattered. She wanted to show she had changed. When she reached the small crowd, she saw Mira standing near the front. Clara paused for a moment before walking forward. The mall director introduced Clara and said she would help guide the new training program. Some staff members applauded. Clara stepped up with a humble expression. She looked at Mira and then addressed the group. She said she had made a mistake. She said she hoped others would not repeat it. She said she learned how important respect was, and she was grateful for the chance to improve. Her voice held honesty and seriousness. Mira listened quietly. She could feel the sincerity behind Clara's words. She understood that people could change if they chose to reflect. She remembered the letter Clara wrote. She felt no anger inside her, only a gentle acceptance. After the gathering ended, the mall director invited Shaq and Mira to take a walk through the new staff training center. They entered a bright room filled with posters about kindness, equality, patience, and communication. There were guides for speaking politely. There were reminders for treating every person with respect. Mira felt touched. She realized her experience had inspired something real and helpful. Later that afternoon they walked through the mall hallway. People greeted Shaq kindly. Some waved at Mira. She felt shy but happy. She held her father's hand. She felt proud that her simple truth had created understanding among so many people. But there was one more moment waiting for her. One final moment of closure. A week later, the boutique owner contacted Shaq and asked if Mira would come to the boutique for a short visit. Shaq told Mira and asked if she felt ready. Mira thought for a moment and nodded. She felt calm enough to walk into the place that once caused her sadness. She felt stronger now. She felt she had grown. They arrived at the boutique on a quiet weekday afternoon. The shop looked different than before. The lights were softer. New decorations made the space feel warm. A sign near the entrance read, "Every customer matters." Mira walked inside with slow steps. She saw Clara standing near the counter. Clara approached them with a gentle smile. Clara thanked Mira for coming. She said she wanted to show her something. She led them to a small section near the front of the store. On the wall hung a framed message titled "The Customer Respect Pledge." Under the title was a paragraph about kindness, fairness, and equal treatment. At the bottom were signatures from the boutique staff, including Clara. The owner had asked them to sign it as a promise. Mira read it with soft eyes. She felt a warm feeling in her heart. She realized the shop had transformed from the inside. Clara looked at her again and said she hoped Mira would feel safe in the store now. She said the shop was working hard to rebuild trust. Mira nodded kindly. She said she felt peace. Shaq stood behind her with a quiet smile. He recognized the power of the moment. The boutique owner joined them. He thanked Mira for giving the store a chance to learn. He said her experience opened their eyes to something important. He also thanked Shaq for handling everything with wisdom. Shaq said every person deserved fairness and that learning was a lifelong journey. The owner agreed. Mira walked a little deeper into the store and looked around. The memory of the past moment felt distant now. She saw dresses of many colors hanging gracefully. She touched a soft fabric and smiled. Clara approached her carefully and said she wanted to give Mira something as a sign of appreciation. She handed her a small box wrapped with a ribbon. Mira opened it slowly. Inside was a delicate bracelet with a simple charm shaped like a star. Clara said it was to remind Mira of her strength and brightness. Mira thanked her sincerely. As they prepared to leave the boutique, a small group of customers entered. They recognized Shaq and Mira. One of them approached and told Mira they admired her kindness. Mira felt shy but gave a small smile. Shaq placed his hand gently on her back and guided her toward the exit. The experience felt complete. Outside the boutique, Mira looked up at her father with quiet warmth. She said she never expected such a big change to come from what happened. Shaq nodded and told her that the world often changes through small moments handled with honesty. He said she should be proud of how she carried herself. Mira held the bracelet in her hand and felt its smooth surface. She felt grateful for the journey. Days turned into weeks and the city slowly forgot the details of the boutique incident, but the lessons remained. Customers noticed the improved service. Staff treated people with new care and attention. Clara made sure every person felt welcomed. She spoke gently. She listened. She reflected on her past mistake and used it as motivation to do better every single day. Mira continued her routine at school. She made new friends who admired her calm spirit. Teachers praised her for her positive attitude. She wore the blue dress at her school celebration and received kind compliments from everyone. Her confidence grew. She realized she could face difficult moments and rise stronger each time. Shaq continued his work and sometimes shared the story during public events. He spoke about respect. He spoke about calm communication. He spoke about standing up for others with grace. People listened and understood. His message carried far. He reminded people that true strength was not in loud words but in steady actions. One afternoon, Myra's teacher asked students to write about the most meaningful moment in their lives. Mira wrote about her day at the boutique. Not about the hurt but about the growth. She wrote about how she learned her voice mattered. She wrote about how she learned forgiveness could change hearts. When her teacher read the essay, she felt inspired. She told Mira she had wisdom beyond her years. Meanwhile, Clara continued her own journey of improvement. She kept a small notebook where she wrote reflections each week. She wrote about patience. She wrote about respect. She wrote about the day she first met Mira and how everything changed after that. She promised herself she would always choose kindness. It became her daily practice. One evening the mall hosted a small award ceremony to honor individuals who inspired positive change. They invited teachers, store managers, and community members. Mira attended the ceremony with her father. They thought they were only there to watch. But near the end, the mall director stepped onto the stage and announced a special recognition. He called Myra's name. The room filled with gentle applause. Mira looked at her father with surprise. Shaq encouraged her to step forward. She walked to the stage with careful steps. The director handed her a small glass award shaped like a heart. He said the award was for inspiring kindness and reminding the community about respect. Mira felt tears in her eyes but smiled. She held the award close. Shaq stood and clapped proudly. Clara, who was among the audience, also clapped with sincerity. She felt grateful to see Mira receive something meaningful. She knew Mira deserved it. After the ceremony, many people came to congratulate Mira. They told her she was brave. They told her she changed the mall for the better. Mira felt humbled. She thanked each person with gentle words. As they left the event, Shaq placed his arm around her shoulder. He told her the world needed hearts like hers. He told her she should never doubt her strength. Mira leaned her head lightly against his side as they walked to their car. She felt happy. She felt peaceful. She felt complete. That night before bed, she placed the glass award on her shelf next to the birthday card her father wrote for her. She also placed the star bracelet beside them. These things reminded her of the whole journey. They reminded her that kindness could reshape even the hardest moments. They reminded her that forgiveness brought healing. They reminded her of the love her father had for her. She lay down in her bed and thought about the future. She wondered what new stories life would bring. She closed her eyes with a calm heart. She knew she was ready for anything. The world felt bigger now but less frightening. She learned she could change things with her quiet courage. And somewhere across the city, Clara wrote another reflection in her notebook. She wrote that she was grateful for the chance to change. She wrote that she would always remember Mira as the girl who opened her eyes. She smiled softly and closed the notebook. She felt peace too. The story that began with pain ended with growth. The moment that caused sadness brought wisdom. The day that felt heavy turned into something bright. And through it, all one truth stood clear. Respect must be given to all. Kindness must lead the way. And calm strength can make the world better one heart at a time.